Hey folks, this is Chris with Oregon Figs. It is September 30th, 2024, and we are now in fall. And I'm at the in-ground orchard, and this year's been kind of interesting. The first year where I've ever ripened main crop from Desert King. I have about 8 on the tree that are ripening, and I've always been a little bit leery because I've heard really bad reports about the main crop on Desert King if you don't have the fig wasp. So this just goes to show you that a few will ripen in an area where the fig wasp is not present. I've got a bird talking to me today. He might be asking for these figs when I'm done, the ones I don't eat. He can probably have the Desert King because I'm not expecting much. So if you look at the center of the Desert King, which I'll point to him, these are the Desert King. This one here, clearly not ripened properly. You can see how dry looking it is. You couldn't pay me to eat that. There's the fig toss. Ugh, not even gonna try that. Okay, so now we've got 2 figs, 4 halves of DK left. Over here, this is Verdino up top. Really, that looks quite nice. They've been lacking sugar this year. It's the first year in ground, and the last one wasn't bad, but nothing to write home about. This is campaner, which started ripening, I think it was the first day of September. So it's been ripening for the whole month. There's a small percentage of figs left on the tree. So it's ripened nearly its complete crop. There's some real tiny ones that, set later in the season that won't ripen. But this is a fig that I give my highest recommendation to in-ground in the Willamette Valley in particular. This is a Crow's. That's my first fig off of my mother tree. And my Etnas that are in a pot, all 3 of them, 2 have totally ripened their whole crop. They were fantastic in the pot. And 1 is a younger tree that's going to ripen the whole crop in the pot. Now, I might ripen 3/4 of my crop in ground, but the problem I'm running into in ground is I'm getting lots of little pests. I'll see if I can see one that has the markings. Yeah, you can see a mark right there. There's little marks on there. That's could be cucumber beetles, other little pests. I'm seeing lots of little pests. The difference between early September in ground and end of September is early September you don't have much pest pressure, and end of September you have quite a bit. This just started ripening here. This is Longue aout, Long of August, and this one looks pretty good. You can see. Looks good. You can tell when a fig is not properly ripened when you see the DKs, you see all that little the brown seeds. So even though it's ripened, it's not properly ripened. LDA is notorious for having a lot of the brown seeds. These actually don't look too bad. So sometimes when you see people cutting figs and they're eating figs and you're seeing a lot of brown in the center, those aren't properly ripened. They may be fully ripened. That doesn't mean they're properly ripened. There is a difference. So LDA this year is about 10 days later than it was last year, which is not a good thing because the later in the season you get them, the more problems you fight. So where am I going to start? I don't think this campaner looks as well ripened as the ones I've had earlier. Even though it has the sugar spots, clearly, I don't think it's properly ripened. So let's give it a try. It's good. It's just not the level of sweetness that we were getting 2 weeks ago because the nighttime temperatures have gotten really cool. The daytime temperatures are still in the 70s, but we're getting a lot of condensation as well, and they just don't ripen to the same level as they do early September when it's generally warmer and drier. All right, next let's look at this yummy looking Verdino. I hope it doesn't disappoint me because I haven't been really impressed with it this year, but it's a young tree. Okay, tons of seed crunch, not much sweetness, which has been a theme this year. Remember, this is a young tree. Trees take a few years to get really dug in and give you a great representation of what the variety will be. The thing that impresses me this year is it's going to ripen its whole crop in ground, and it started probably just a little bit after the earlies. So as it gets older, it might be right in line with campaner when it starts. That is phenomenal. All right, let's go to crows. Always one of my favorites. Once again, in ground. In ground is it's a crapshoot. That's the best fig so far. Creamy, delicious, berry, moderate plus sweetness, and moderate plus for the seed crunch. Probably I'd say moderate plus. Very nice texture. Good fig, not as good as the Etnas from my potted varieties that have already almost finished ripening because cooler. Still nice and sweet, and it's not a bad fig, just not something I'd get too excited about at this point. The Etnas here, I mean, they'll still do okay in a good year in ground, but they're a little bit of a crapshoot in a year where you're behind, and we're 10 days behind so far right now. So this is LDA, Longue, long of August, main crop. That was terrible. It had soured. Let's try another one. It's another thing you get this time of the year with a lot of condensation. The skin. The skin just rubs right off, right? Disadvantage to ripening in late September or October. This is why I say for main crop figs, if you really want to have good results, you need early main crop figs. That doesn't mean you can't get some good main crop figs that aren't early, because you can get some great ones, but it's much more difficult, and you really need an excellent microclimate. I'm not expecting much from this one either. And this one's excellent. So you can get them here. You can get the main crop, and it's very good. It's probably the best fig here right now that I'm tasting. So you can get good LDAs. I think as you get further north, past the Willamette Valley, and you get up into places like Washington State or British Columbia, it's going to be much more difficult to get main crop to ripen because their season is shorter than ours, and ours is short to begin with. So today's winner is LDA main crop, and dare I try one of those Desert Kings? Okay, I saved this for last because if my taste buds are ruined, I can go run in the house and get some water. Desert King main crop. I'm a little bit nervous about this one. Nowhere near as bad as I expected. I could actually eat that. A lot less sugar than one would appreciate. And it tastes like a fall fig. It's nothing to write home about, but really not that bad. So hey, main crop from DK. Maybe as my tree gets older and older, it will start ripening them earlier. So if I could get them to ripen, 10 days earlier than now, middle of September, they might be okay. So it is a possibility. It's only a small percentage of the crop. Your tree needs to be older. I planted my tree in 2016, so that was 8 years ago. It died back to the ground twice, so that slowed it down. But interesting results. I'm not surprised with Verdino because it hasn't been a great year for it. I'm not surprised with the crows because the Mount Etnas really need heat. I'm not surprised with campaner because it's later in the season. It's the end of the crop. I'm happy with LDA being that sweet this late. So there are a few examples of figs that are ripening at the end of September in the Willamette Valley. I'm still kind of blown away that DK, I mean, it wasn't a top tier fig, but I didn't spit it out. So I hope you enjoy these reviews. I always try to be really honest. And I like when my bird friend chimes in too. I think he's saying watch more videos by Chris, subscribe, and like, if I interpret what he's saying right. Okay, take care. Have a great day. Tomorrow's October. Hope you have a wonderful October as well. And we'll see you on the next video.